Okay, late. I've been sick, so I blame it on Mickey D's entirely. I I went against all my own ethics and morals. It's they call it your fuck it switch in recovery. Usually, it's when people go and use drugs and alcohol again. Mine was to sneak out uh, on a midnight mission to Mickey D's with my teenager for a McFlurry, which I haven't done for many, many moons. Last Saturday, and I ended up getting violently ill for a week. I'm not blaming McDonald's in case I get sued. I'm just saying that the next day I got some kind of salmonella thing that went on for about 10 days. I was working through it, of course, and looking after my boy. So it's been quite a stressful time. And so I kicked back and didn't do the social media stuff. And I went into slow-mo with the work that needed to be done, which there was some of, there's always, which is a blessing. I'm grateful. Lost some kilos accidentally, so at least I've got my summer body on. But it was very unpleasant and I'm tired. It was exhausting, but I'm still here. So I'm posting this. It's a bit late. Couple of things. There's a lot of things as there are when one is trying to learn and grow and get better. Thoughts this week were, well, I saw something last night that was really cool. A guy did a talk on TED Talk, and he was talking about his successes. He made, what did he say? It was something like ridiculous, like $14 million. And within 6 months, he had completely bottomed out, lost everything, including all his family and friends. And he had to kind of rebuild and start again, which is kind of a bit I related to after this last 5 months. Been a very challenging time, but I have hope. The truth will prevail, as it does. And this is the thing. That's the other thing I wanted to share. Actually, the first thing I wanted to share is I'm investigating the 12 steps again. But this time with someone that is really far along this journey and who knows his shit. And he's doing it in an entirely different way. It's more of an investigation into the spiritual side of things, and it's a spiritual program. It's not religious. I know people get all weirded out by this. It's not at all, and it's really, really clever. So we're working on step one, and he was telling me to find the spiritual principle of step one, and I thought I knew this stuff vaguely, and I went through it, and for me it was honesty, because I think with honesty, that's admitting you've got a problem. It's lifting the veil of denial and getting honest about where you are, and it's a great spiritual principle. It's one I live by. I'm meticulously honest because I found, also because my dad drilled it into me us at a very young age. He wasn't entirely correct because his take on it was, and he was very strict about it, that it is black or white. It's either truth or it's a lie. And he drilled that into us from a very young age. So I'm kind of learning now that there are truths and there are perspectives, and with communication, often what you think is a truth can turn out to be colored by your perception. Fair game. There are outright lies. I mean, this we know. But yeah, this whole principle of honesty, that's the kind of first step into, I think, any kind of learning and recovery, is to start being honest. And it's an amazing way to walk in the world. If you just tell the truth, do the right thing, it looks like the truth always prevails. I thought perhaps it didn't. I've been quite disillusioned because I'm going through a process where there's been a lot of misguidance and lying, and it's been a real fight which is very tiring to show the evidence and to go over things until people see the truth. So I've been quite despondent and disillusioned with the world and society at large, with how easily people believe what they want to believe, even when the truth is shown to them. People seem to believe what they want to believe, what they're comfortable with, and what doesn't affect their world negatively. They will choose to believe what they want to believe and untruth. So I've been quite bitter, and I've been quite resentful, and I've been very disillusioned. I'm usually quite a positive person, and you know, I run around the world trying to do good, and I'm like a goody two shoes. After I got in, I used to be a badass. I can be a badass. I'm actually a badass when I get when I need to be, and that's okay. I'm remembering that, and it's nice to actually stand up and say no. I think I got a bit too soft with this program, and a bit too compassionate, and a bit too spiritual. And my Buddhist teacher, you know, he would say that that compassion is the thing, but it is not compassionate to allow people to walk all over you either, because you're not actually benefiting their journey and the lessons that they need to learn. So it was always one that I found difficult to understand, you know, where that boundary is between compassion and being a badass. And I think in today's world, one needs to have, it's a fine balance. Maybe a compassionate badass, who knows. I've yet to get it right. Anyway, so honesty was my reply to said sponsor person. Friggin' amazing guy. What a human. Wow. And he was like, okay, I'll give you that. Because it is. I mean, you know, it all starts with honesty. I am an alcoholic, or I am an addict, or I am whatever. And then so it begins the willingness, because that's the next thing. Then it's willingness, because he was like, no, I'll give you that. It's honesty. It definitely, that's one of the principles. It's up there. And then I was like, okay, willingness, because, you know, then the willingness to learn. And I went through surrender. Surrender. I go, I need help. He was like, no. And I kept digging around. Anyway, I found it. Because I recently experienced it in treatment. When they started to explain how stuff works more, it was like this final veil of denial kind of got lifted off. And I really accepted the truth of a situation, and so began the real healing. So I guess I've kind of given it away, but not really. Great journey. So that's what's been happening behind the scenes on the sort of recovery side. It's a beautiful process. I'm feeling a lot more grounded. It's good to be back. It's good to have a bit of hope. There's been some dark moments. There's been some very lonely moments. I'm going through a process where I'm really finding out who my people are. And it's been disappointing. But today I had to write some references down. And I started to write names down. And I mean, they're people. And we go back, some of them 32 years I've known people for. And some of the replies to, would you be a reference, a character reference, were, the one I got was, yes, please, with an exclamation mark. And so when I went through this process, I wrote down, I realized I've got really good people. And that isolating oneself is not a good thing. It can lead to depression. And I think that's where I was headed. It was bad this week. It was rough. I was very sick, under a lot of stress, month end. a lot of life stress, and I still find it impossible to reach out and ask for help. Even after doing this recovery thing on and off for 5 years, and I know this stuff, and I would say this to somebody else in a heartbeat, and yet I find it incredibly difficult. It's very, very important. We're not supposed to live alone. I like my solitude, but connection is important. Yeah, and not, anyway, rough week, but I'm still here, learning stuff. So the other thing was this talk that he did on his kind of recovery and his business. He just started 14 businesses or something, so most of them failed. He did very well with a couple, but he said he learned some stuff in the process, and he monitored when he was succeeding, and he monitored what he was doing when things didn't work. And the one I really, really liked, I'll post the video on the Perfect page because it's a nice talk and he does it honestly, is ruminating. He says, not good. Not good at all. And I do that. So we all know, I think we all know, that anxiety is usually a worry about the future. It's worrying about what's going to happen. It's not being present, which is insane on all levels because one can never know what's going to happen. So worrying about it is silly and painful and unnecessary. And then there's also the mind-body link that I keep referring to. Some of it is triggered. Some of it is CPTSD. Some of it is PTSD. And I still have to dig around and figure out more about how those are split up because I've just been introduced to the CPTSD side of things. There's an emotional, there's a trigger and the body does physically respond. It goes into fight or flight, which is awful when you don't know how it works and why it's happening, and pretty scary. But when he spoke about ruminating about the past, you know, something happening and then you sitting and you going over it in your head, he says it's incredibly unhealthy. He started to link it to physical ailments like heart disease, stuff like that. So he's clearly done his research on this. He's been around a while. And he says it can lead to depression. I have to agree 100%. And, you know, I've been throwing that around for a while in recovery. Must have been something I picked up and read somewhere, that anxiety, fear about the future, depression is thinking about the past. But the way that he explained it is a lot more clear. So I'll put that post up on the Perfect page because I have been doing a lot of that. I've been doing a lot of bitching in my head about stuff that has happened and disappointments and things that people have done. And it's been a hurtful time, fair game. People have behaved like Muppets. I behaved like a Muppet, sitting and mulling it over in isolation is not going to lead to anything good. So there won't be any more of that around here. The past will stay in the past unless it needs to be used to address the present effectively. That's over. So also it is hobbies. He was saying during this talk that this ruminating, I like that word, rumination. He says if you find yourself doing it, distract yourself immediately. And he says within a few minutes, the desire, because he says it becomes an addiction, it becomes a habit, it becomes a way of being. This is incredibly destructive. It is not the way I want to walk in the world. My ideal is to be fully present in the moment without the shit from the past affecting how I'm responding to people in the present. My perception, all of it. Ideally, in an ideal world. Meditation is supposed to help with this quite a lot. haven't been meditating either, which is probably why I've been so grumpy and bitching about other people's behavior. So yeah, I'll start that tomorrow again. I've been sick, so I haven't been doing anything healthy, but there's no reason not to meditate. It doesn't require any physical activity. It's more like a stubbornness, isn't it? It's like a willful child that won't do what's good for them. I'm going to sulk in the corner and see how low I can go. It's dangerous. Don't do it. So, so hobbies. If you're feeling like that, I guess in future, if I'm feeling like that, I'm going to pick something up. I have many hobbies. I have many interests. I was going to post more videos about play, and then I broke my own rules and went against my own ethics, and I ate at Mickey D's. If you do research on what this business does globally and to the planet and to animals in general, and what is in their so-called food, you may not want to go there either. I'm not going back there after last week. Lesson learned to the universe. Thank you. It was a tough lesson. It was a bit harsh. But, yeah, they're not good enough, the McFlurries, to be sick for like 10 days on. So hobbies. I play the guitar. There's a video of me playing the guitar really, really badly a week or so ago. I love reading books. Amazing. Carry them. You'll never be lonely or bored. I carry them in my bag. I never get a chance to read them at the moment, but I'm finding patches again to do it. And also my eyes are shut. When I get my eyes sorted out, it'll be easier. A hula hoop dancing, flow arts, amazing. It's kind of like juggling almost, but with hula hoops. If you Google it, the YouTube videos on flow arts. It's poi, hoops, staff. It's an amazing way to move. It's kind of meditative. Writing. Oh gosh, there's like so much. There's so much to do. Language. I like to learn languages. I've kind of learned a bit of French. I can get by. I'd like to learn Xhosa. I've been trying to learn it for years. And I've been wanting to learn sign language for a long time, since I was a kid, actually. And I started to try and learn last year. But I was learning with my partner. We were learning ASL, which is American Sign Language. This is a fascinating language because it's different in every country. One would think that there was like a universal... No, it's different in every country. And in fact, there's some differences even in provinces in South Africa. This guy that I met, Matthews, this is an interesting story, but I can't tell it now. It's such a pity because it's quite a bizarre one, and I will tell it when the time is right. But I had to book myself into a hotel for a couple of days, and it was like quite a spontaneous, random move. Yeah, so I've been wanting to learn sign languages for ages, and I've been struggling to find a tutor in Cape Town. I signed up for lessons, but I, for some reason, could never find the place. I think there was another road, with the same name, but in another suburb. So I kept pitching up at the wrong house. And then I started to try and find tutors. They were donkulously expensive, sign language tutors. And it's quite it's a difficult kind of click to break into. Yeah, I've joined a few Facebook pages. I kind of reached out. It's quite underground. It's quite interesting that these people are very marginalized. It's not common to meet them, and it's they're, yeah, I don't know. Anyway, so for like a year, trying to find someone that I could converse with to learn sign language that was hearing impaired. Deaf is the sign. So eventually I have to book myself into this hotel randomly at like 9 o'clock one night. And it so happens we run into this gentleman who works there, he likes kids. He's a lovely human, this guy. And he starts talking to my son. And it turns out he's deaf. So I'm like, oh, I'm like so excited. I've learned some sign language. Of course, I've forgotten most of it by then. Anyway, we saw the weekend out. I came home and then I wrote to the hotel. And I said, please ask him to WhatsApp me. And I asked him, if he knew anyone that could teach me, or would he teach me. I said to him, I'm going through a difficult time at the moment, so I can't afford to pay much because the tutors are like $400 an hour or something. And he was like, no, he'll do it for free, because he's like that, literally. So this guy I met him, we started to learn. He comes to my house every now and then and hangs out, brings a friend. We're getting to know each other. Lovely man. Out there doing good, because there are people that are. And he's been teaching me sign language. So, a hobby, another thing to play. I thought I would do, because it's Deaf Awareness Month this month, globally. I don't know if you're aware. What? When? Where? Who? Why? What is how? How? Is it how? Oh, I'm going to have to see him. Shame, he wanted to come and visit this weekend and catch up, but I've been too sick. And anyway, he's going to crap on me because I haven't practiced, so it's a good thing. Gets quite fierce. So, lots of things to do to keep you busy, to stop you ruminating and slipping into, what did I say? It's the swamp of despair. It's not. It's the swamp of sadness and the never-ending story. Don't do it. It sucks. It's muddy and it's sticky and it's difficult to get out of. So, look for the pockets of joy. Keep yourself occupied. Reach out to people that actually do care about you. They're just busy and everybody's struggling in their own way. And keep on keeping on. It's a short one this week because I'm tired, but I'll be back.